It's you get worked up over no particular reason at all. Like we were saying, you're yelling at players. I mean, you take it too far when you start to tweet the guy or start making snide comments on Twitter, which you're hashtagging the guy or tagging the guy. It's just like.
So you've said this. You said this again. So have you tweeted people? Is that what you're trying to get out here? Is you tweeted someone to tell them to play better? Yeah, you.
Oh, I never did it. I think I've tagged fantasy experts who've given bad advice. Saying what such and such was wrong again. Why did I play him?
So you're like, son of a bitch.
That's equivalent of trolling, them. I probably shouldn't even have done that, but it's fun to do. They know that that's part of it. Maybe they, if they don't like it, then they should get a different profession. But most of us, even me and you, could go on and make our own fantasy show, and we could be right 50% of the time too. So it's like you're telling people who to play.
If anybody out there can look up MC's criminal record to see if he has any restraining orders from him against some fantasy people, go ahead and do that.
Don't tweet me again.
Yeah.
Started you yelling at me for my bad advice.
Yeah, you son of a bitch. You said that Roethlisberger was going to throw 7 touchdowns. You were completely wrong.
Tweeting the players, I think, that's a line. It's just so ridiculous. That's just like.
How many players do you think have their own fantasy where they have themselves on it?
I don't know. Probably more than we probably think. Maybe just to laugh at the aspect of it. But
do you think they ever, when they're shaking hands, saying like, "Dude, you cost me points"?
I don't know if they really would do that.
It would be some funny
shit. Could you imagine
if they were mic'd up?
They're playing their opponent who's going off on them, and then they're smiling on the sidelines. Hey, at least I'm going to win on fantasy.
Yeah, look at that. I knew I shouldn't have sacked you because you look at the touchdowns you're throwing.
Yeah, I don't know. I would hope
you're on my fantasy.
Pete Rose laws against that, gambling on your own team.
What about do you think that they have guys on their fantasy who they that aren't their players, like aren't their players on their own team? Think that causes some problems?
Again, I don't really. I would imagine a percentage of the players who probably really play this outside of it. I mean, they probably do. Who really knows? I mean, I'm not in, but I would imagine they'd have to be playing for the joke, fun of it.
How do you know? You don't know.
But you never know. I mean, maybe that gives them a little something to laugh at with each other and competitive natures. A lot of these things start in work, leagues, and I have guys in my league that are not at work with, so it's kind of different because now you're not working with them, you don't see them. It's like it's something. Hey, you could talk about the league, have fun, joke about it, But then if they're not on your team anymore, if they're not in your, you don't work with them anymore. It's like, why am I playing in this guy's league? I don't even see this guy anymore. So I have to imagine that maybe some of my old coworkers, think like that. But one guy says he still wants to do it.
Because, again, the NFL players are working. It's not like they're not working. So they are at work. And so when they're you think that Derek Carr goes up to like his Raiders players and be like, dude, I can't believe you have Phillip Rivers as your quarterback on your fantasy league. And he's like, I'm sorry, you're just not having a good year this year. And he's like, I really take that personally. I'm just not going to throw to you anymore. And he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll put you in there. I'll pick you up from a waivers list. So
more importantly, hopefully they're playing for the millions that they're making to do their job than they are probably a few $100s maybe, and depending on the league that they're doing. So I would imagine that to take any of that even remotely seriously if you're a player would just be ridiculous. So I don't doubt that there probably are some that are doing it, but I don't think it really, hopefully to goodness, it really matters to them really one way or the other, because at the end of the day, these guys are making millions to play a kid's game at the end of the day. I mean, a dangerous game, but still, playing a game that's, they're making a ton of money and everybody's watching them every week, and it's life sometimes seems to be centered around these guys. I would imagine a fantasy game for a fraction of what they're making to play on a field hopefully would be very minuscule due to I'm competitive, so that's why I think I get worked up sometimes too, just because I'm sure you're the same way. You're competitive, you want to win. That's the only reason why you care. Otherwise, this really is an insignificant game, but you're competitive. You just want to win. I mean, there's no real big money on the line, but you're just trying to have fun and you're competitive. So I think that's why we give a shit about these things. But there are some leagues that are ridiculous. So they are like a gambling, thing. It's like, I don't know if I'd want to ever be a part of that, because I would imagine if I get mad at a small winnings on the line at the end of the day, I could, how mad would I get if I have Susie's tuition on the line,
I don't know. How mad would you be?
Well, probably pretty mad.
It's a good question. So, how mad would you be if you
I would imagine
Susie's?
that if you get that angry over it, and if that's something, then that's probably not healthy to play. But if you, if you get a little peeved, we're going to get worked up over something. You might as well have some fun while doing it.
All right. Well, these last 5 minutes, we have this thing that we just went on about playing fantasy
Very
football.
Special episode of Me Podcast You Listen.
Of the fantasy football edition.
So you're going childhood.
Yeah, my childhood has caused all these problems, and now I'm gonna start our own ring. So so you're coming into a playoff now. So what are your guys? Are you looking for to make big plays this week?
So while the downside is I lost to you and got seeded fourth instead of third. The upside, that I do have is that my guys, hopefully in a traditional sense, since NFL seems to follow no rhyme or reason whatsoever, and being a Raiders fan, and you probably agree, considering your team probably should have no reason to win your game, but did. The Seahawks were
don't be a hater.
Down game.
Don't be a hater, you big baby.
I'm not a hater. It's just that didn't look like your team the other weeks that I've watched them.
That's because they don't care anymore. They got nothing to lose.
But yeah, the Rams were contained by the Bears. The Seahawks had, my Seahawks didn't do too much against the Vikings. So I need bounce back games from Russell Wilson, Todd Gurley, and Brandon Cooks, because basically they're the reason I got seeded fourth. But my opponent, which is my brother, has got Phillip Rivers and Patrick Mahomes. They're going head to head, and that'll probably be a high scoring, ridiculous affair. So I'm going to be in a hole on Thursday because I have no players from either one of those teams. So I'm going to be down probably 60 or 70 points going into Sunday. So yeah, that'll be an exciting time to start my playoffs off in a hole.
No.
Thanks, Jester.
Why don't you be a big crybaby about it? That's what you get for playing fantasy football. So maybe next time you should look a little harder on which guys you're putting in there, and
your team did pretty damn good. I got to give you credit. You didn't even get anything from LaShawn McCoy, and you still beat me by 0.4.
I know.
I played with a full team, and you pretty much had LaShawn McCoy giving you 0.1, and you still beat me.
That's because I'm an expert at this now. I finally realized at week 16 on how to win. So
yeah, you had good guys in there this week. You sat Josh Gordon last week. I don't know why you did that too, but you did. But this week you played him, and he gave you double digits, and except for Derrick Henry.
So now that I lost, do I still have to play? Do I still got to play this week now that I lost?
You have 2 weeks to play, but now what you're in a consolation bracket.
So I'm just playing for fun. I'm playing for well, that's fun. I can't wait. I'm going to get a Twinkie and a Capri Sun at the end of this season. So, and a participation trophy.
Well, think about this. Trubisky, let's just use him as an example. You picked him up off waivers, did really good for you. Let's just hypothetically say Mitch might go in the third round. Well, due to these rules here, now if you decide that Trubisky is going to be, you win this consolation, say you win the next 2 weeks. If Mitch is, say, the guy you want to keep, now you basically have Mitch as a lock as your fifth round pick because he was picked up off waivers. Our rules say basically you can trade him back in for the fifth round pick. So basically that means you can get Mitch as a lock on your team in the fifth round, and then you can draft 4 other good players before him, and you're automatically getting Mitch regardless. So all that stuff is something to play for, because when you start next season off, you have your best player, whoever you deem him as, or your most valuable player, he's going to be on your team for next year regardless. So there is something to play for.
So, and I'm playing for the trophy from the what's the movie, the league, the TV show. Yeah. I'm playing for that big ball sack. Yeah.
Oh, is that what they give on the consolation bracket?
Yeah, they give the losers a ball sack, whatever it is, I forget what they call it, but it's like a sack Looks like a sack. It's basically a ball sack on a trophy. So
gold trophy.
And then it has a picture of someone's like ex-ugly girlfriend or something on it. So, and that's what we're playing for. I'm playing for the losers.
Yeah, I mean,
side.
you could keep Elliott. I think he was your first round pick, right? You could keep Elliott and say you get the 8th pick in the draft, and it's drawn that way. Elliott's automatically then would be your first round pick. So, regardless of, you could get Ezekiel Elliott at number 8 because he was your keeper. So, there's a lot of possibilities. It makes it a little interesting for the bottom half to play for, and the top half is playing for, even a 3-4. If I lose this week to my brother, I still have a chance to get my money back battling the third or fourth team, battling the third or whatever team I would play. So I could get my money back too, but it all depends on my guys next week. If they can bounce back, I have a chance. If not, I'm going to get slaughtered.
And you're going to be mad about it. And you're going to be like, it was all Jester's fault for beating me in week 14 or whatever that was.
Well, what could also happen is possibly that other division leader could score more than my brother too, and maybe I win and I would have lost. So you never really know the scenario of what's going to happen. But yeah, if I lose, I can certainly blame you.
What you need to know is there is no tomorrow, just like Apollo said. There is no tomorrow. So you're playing for today.
Yeah, that's right.
We gotta wish you well. Hopefully you do win so we can have some more talk about fantasy football. Because obviously I suck at it because I picked the wrong guys. So I know.
Well, we all got to start somewhere, Jester. We all can't just come in immediately and win.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that philosophy whatsoever. I think that was a dumb. I think my philosophy, I should have came in and just beat you right away since I have a background in football. But obviously, I have no background in fantasy football, so I need to have a little better.
I'm going to tell you a little advice here that and as we wrap towards the end of the show is you have to use that number 1 pick that every week you lose and you become the worst team. You need to pick up the best players off that waiver because if you don't, what's happening is somebody else is picking them up. And then they're going to use them against you one day. So remember that.
Oh, so that's the philosophy.
Yeah, you better make sure you pay attention to that next time you play because those guys that are on waivers are some guys going to use them against you. And you have the right to pick them first because you're the worst team until you can build your team back up. I mean, I was 1-4. 1-4? Yeah, I was 1-4 at one point in time. And my chances of getting into the playoffs weren't looking very good. So I actually bounced back pretty good to make the playoffs. So it's even a team that starts off 1-4, it's not impossible. I'm living proof.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's it. That's the Mickey from Rocky Balboa's motivational speech right there. Is to make sure you keep an eye on your fantasy league and waste your time. Spend your whole time during the week.
Mickey loves you.
Because if you don't, then you're not in the playoffs, and then you get to have the first round pick of next year because they got to give you some kind of up because you suck that bad. So I'm playing for last place.
Your keeper for next year, just so you can keep your best player for next year, and that's if you're the best of the losers.
Exactly. That's if I can. Yes. That's if I can move on and finish this season strong. So, all right.
Gives you something to play for, though, Jester. Gives you something to play for.
It makes me feel like I got some kind of hope. There's some light at the end of the rainbow here, and I'm excited about it. So,
one of those guys is counting on you to keep them for next year if you can just win.
If I can just win, I don't think I got to win. I got to win the losers bracket in order to win this. So, yes. All right. Well, that's me. Podcast. You listen. That was follow us. Yeah. Follow us. Facebook, Instagram,
social media everywhere.
iTunes.
On YouTube as well, as you were saying off the air. We are now on YouTube, so you can search us up on YouTube and just type us in, Me Podcast You Listen. You can actually listen to us right off the TV. You could be lounging on the couch, looking at your fantasy lineup and listening to us talk about fantasy. So, there it is.
True. That is true. True statement.
Subscribe on iTunes. Give us some subscribe so we can keep bringing you these great shows. And if you subscribe, the bonuses, it drops right into your queue there, and it's on your phone. So when you jump into your podcast, we're already there waiting for you. And it's a good reason to subscribe. So, give us some support, rock the subscriptions, and so we can keep giving you these great episodes as we continue and trek along this path called life, my friend.
Another philosophy. We should have another episode where MC the philosopher. So tune in.